They're powerful and complicated to navigate. And there's a
Yeah.
couple of things about them that drive me nuts as far as customization, like things that you can't customize. Like
Hmm.
you can't make the tap tempo macro blink, and you can't custom color your drums or your bass or anything.
Hmm.
You don't get to do that.
Hmm.
The
Interesting.
the blinking tap tempo is worth its weight in gold, I'll tell you, for
You can
something
do it
so
on an
simple.
M32. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my,
Why can't you do it
I,
on a Digico?
oh my God. You can just look and you're listening to the music and you just look at the thing and you know if you're ready to go or not. It's
Well,
just
just remember that Digicos at one time were soundtracks consoles.
Yeah, I know.
were they really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
I mean, they're
Yes.
very powerful and they sound good for a digital. And I think, walking up to it at a festival or something, pretty rough thing to do because it's not intuitive. Um, if you've got a bunch of time to program your show, then it's great. And most of the people that I see using them, have at least a file that they're bringing if they use in mine, or they've got things well programmed. It's usually people who have to step through a show and use snapshots and all this other stuff because they're trying to make it sound like the record. For that, where you have pre-production time, I think it's probably a pretty good choice.
Yeah.
Not
I was
Um,
only
just saying their editors operate the same way across all the models. So if you once you've learned one, then you've learned them all basically.
yeah, they're
the
very
files
similar, but you can't necessarily load a file from a 10 on a 12 without things
Oh
missing.
no, you can't. No, you can't.
But they have the software that allows you to change it so you can then use it on the other console, but it doesn't go one for one, obviously, because the consoles are
Right.
different. There's a few other weird things. You have to just know that you touch the upper right corner of the screen if you want to open up the page to send to Matrix. There's no like button that says sends to Matrix, or there's nothing there. You just have to know that you touch the upper right corner and it'll open that screen. The other
Yeah.
thing is it has an oscillator, but there's no pink noise in the oscillator. So if you want pink
Oh, that's
noise,
right. You have to generate
you
it from, yeah, it's
you
been several years since I ran one,
well,
but
it
yes, I
has
remember
a
that.
pink noise generator in it, but it's not part of the oscillator. It's a separate thing, and you have to go to a channel strip and
Really?
you have to specify the input source because it's got A and
Yeah.
B inputs, so you could have two different stage racks or whatever and switch between them with a macro. But you have to specify the input source to not be mic or line. But you have to specify the source as pink noise.
Oh,
Why
Yeah.
is the pink
Yeah.
noise not in the oscillator?
why
yeah.
is there no Mac software for those boards? Why is it Windows only? To me, that's a big one.
Because they
Well, and
run on a
especially if you
Windows
have to,
operating system.
yeah, if you have to get down in the root menu to do some things, for instance, and we had this happen. So we've got two of them, right? Two S matching SD12s with matching wave servers, matching screens, the whole thing, overview screen, touch screen.
All I could say is thank you, Kurt. Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah,
much. I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Somebody had something to do with all this. But anyway, the screens have to be paired in the Windows OS with that console. So if you get the screens mixed up between the two consoles, they won't work. Or if you break your screen and you send a runner to go buy you another screen at Best Buy and bring it back, you're going to have to shut the console all the way down to the root boot menu, and you're going to have to go through this kind of elaborate process deep in Windows, and not like click and drag Windows, but like command Windows to go in and reassociate the screen with the console, the
Oh
specific
man.
console. And if you haven't done it in like a couple of months, you don't remember how to do it. It's not like that thing. Oh yeah, it's right here. It's not one of those.
Not intuitive, hey?
Not at all.
There was an article in I think it was Mix magazine, so that tells you how long ago it was. So it was about I forget I forget what tour it was on, but anyway, this guy was saying, okay, I'm finally making the move from analog to digital. So I was approached by Digico, so they brought me to California for a week, and he spent a week there. And then they sent him a console. He put it up in his garage, and he had his virtual sound check, and he played with it for over 2 weeks. And then he says, "Okay, now I'm ready to tour." 3 weeks. And I'm thinking, okay, no. Something's wrong here.
I make a habit of setting them up in the winter in my living room. So I'll have like a D Live and I'll have a ST12 and whatever else we might be playing with at the time. I have a very understanding girlfriend. But
Until she becomes your wife, then all the
Yeah.
rules change.
shh. The Allen
It's
and
good
Heath.
to have somebody around all the time that you could fight with. I tell you, it's a good thing.
We never fight. We never fight. It's amazing.
You know, hey, I've never been wrong once. I thought I was once, but hey, no, my wife makes me feel that I've been wrong more than once.
So, Jan, are you having a baby? What's that thing behind you? It looks like a little wall to a bassinet or something with a rose on it or something.
Well, that is my set. That is my set. So that you can't, you see, at the house, we're renting this house, and every room has beds in it, and they're huge beds, and you can't get rid of them. So because there's no place to put them. And so I didn't want to see a bed in my background, so I got this.
Well, it's just us, man.
Yeah, just us and 475 people. That's it. Actually, we're being viewed a lot more than that. But it's a perfect opportunity, Bruce, for me to interrupt to say,
sorry.
hey, welcome to Thinking Out Loud with Friends, 275th episode right now. Here we are. Just remember, everything you hear today is an opinion, so do your own research. And having said that, guess what? I got a call today from a guy, and he's got a Ramza S840 he wants to sell.
Wow.
Even I don't want that.
It's been a while since I've even seen one of those.
Those were pretty cool in the day, although I did monitors. Remember, Bruce, when we did that big rhythm and blues show?
I remember it well.
We did this big rhythm and blues award show, and Bruce was doing front of house and I was doing monitors, and I had a Ramza SX1.
SX1. It was
the monitor
a beast.
console.
It was so huge.
It was huge, but that thing was the most West Coast, we had our 840 that we used all the time, and I love that thing. It was actually very cool at the time. But that SX1 was the most gutless piece of crap, man. That thing had no voltage going out of it at all.
Really?
I was driving the crap out of that thing to get any gain.
I wonder if there are any in the Smithsonian right now.
But it was a fun gig.
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. I'll remember that show forever. We had a good time too.
Here's the funny one. Bruce can tell you about his experience with Bonnie Raitt, but my experience with Bonnie Raitt on that particular show was really cool because at the end of the night, she was walking by the downstage edge and she was actually thanking the crew for doing this job. She was up there with, John Lee Hooker or something like that. And so I said, hey, Bonnie, I've been using Nick of Time to tune my rooms for a long time. She goes, oh, and you're still working. That's great.
Now, was that show with Dirk Schubert, with Schubert Systems?
No. It was AVHQ when we were.
It was on the Sony lot, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhere in a tent.
Yeah, because Schubert's been doing Bonnie Raitt since day one.
No, this was just a one-off award show. It
was the Pioneer Blues Awards.
Yeah. And we had Bonnie performed, and I don't know.
Kev Moe. I when I got done tuning in the room,
Clapton was there. It was nuts.
I used Bonnie Raitt and I use a little bit of Kev Moe when I'm tuning in the room, and it was so great because right after I listened to Kev Moe, that he got up there with his band and he played. And it's like, oh man, it's so dialed. I was so happy. And the PA was like, if I remember rightly, we had a bunch of 650s per side, EAW 650s, and then a couple of strings of KF 300s for delays. And we're in a tent. It's 100 and something feet, maybe 150 feet deep, maybe. And, it was all these people in tuxedos at rounds of 10. And so, we had all these performances, all these people played. I couldn't believe it. We had the list of people. It was huge. And Bonnie Raitt played. So my half of that story, the Bonnie Raitt story, is she comes down off the stage after the show and she walks up to me and she goes, what'd she say? She says, this is a rock show. Can't you play this louder? You should be louder or something like that. And I was like, it's kind of a corporate show. And I could, but I'm not sure that, And I thought,
Oh.
wow, I thought she was going to say something nice because I got my couple of my tuning tunes from you, Wayne, and so I still use Bonnie and a couple
I
others.
thought she was harassing you because when the old guys, John Lee Hooker and the old black blues guys that opened the show, these guys were old and they were very quiet. And I thought she was harassing you at that time. Like, how come you can't make these guys that are giving you no input whatsoever?
Well,
louder?
yeah, it was all
got
about
louder as
loudness.
it went on.
Yeah, it was all
it got
about
louder
making
as
it
went on.
louder. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was expecting when she walked up to me, I thought she was going to say something nice, and she got right in my face. And she's like, "Can't you make this louder or something?" And I'm like, "What?" It's a corporate
so
show.
Bruce, I'm curious to know, and you guys all probably have a better clue on this because I have no clue. But when you do a corporate show, what is the dB level that you don't want to exceed at the console?
It depends on what it is, but if I'm doing, when we're doing corporate shows, unlike concerts up to a certain size, we have delays all over the place. Even we're using line arrays. If I'm shooting, 150 feet in a convention center with 8 boxes per side of some line array, I still have delays because, I don't want all that reflection off the back wall. So if I'm doing entertainment, I like to run just a little under 100. Because all these people, they're there, they want to sit at tables and talk, and I try not to go too loud. If I'm really into the band, it's hard to control yourself because you can, when I did Bruce Hornsby once and I did a couple other people once, and Wayne, you and I have done some great acts where we were mixing the shows, and it's hard to behave yourself when the show is really good. When you got great people on stage, you just want to cut loose. But
Now, because people want to talk,
well,
do you ever bring down the mids just so that people? Because when people talk, that's where it is. We're at the mid level of the spectrum.
Well, what's funny?
Well, I was going to say, here's my thoughts on that, Jan. When you're doing entertainment, like, you've done your thing and you're having a party at the end of the night, then it's just entertainment just the way it always is. And you want to smack people, but you don't want to beat them to death because most of the stuff we're doing, it's not metal. It's dance.
It's Chicago and stuff.
But in meetings, I'll tell you what, the trick is you want your videos to have impact. You want your play-ons to have impact, but everything is based around the quietest speaker that you have, because you don't want the differential between the guy, the financial guy whispering on a lav to the playback to be so ridiculously huge that it doesn't make any sense. So in that situation, I'm always thinking about mixing down to the lowest common denominator, not mixing up to beat people the way that I might necessarily want to.
Now, you might think in that same, not you, Wayne, but people that you're talking to, but you guys are all sound guys, but so you'll understand this, but you don't, even though the person that you're mixing down to might be on a lav and he might be whispering, and the issue with corporate shows is, we're always running delays all over the place because, at a corporate show, every seat's got to be a perfect seat, and it's all about the spoken word. And if some guy is going to sit and talk about something for an hour and a half, you can't have people falling asleep in their seat. And you guys know that when you've attended something where there was speeches, if you have to stare at the person on the stage to understand what he's saying, you're going to fall asleep. I don't give a shit what he's talking about. After 45 minutes of staring at that dude, trying to digest what he's saying, because you can't really hear him very well, or articulation isn't quite what it should be, you're going to fall asleep. So, when I design a system for corporate shows, I make if somebody ever comes up to me and says, I can't hear too good where I am. And I always say, where are you? Oh, and they always say, I'm over by the door, standing by the door. And I always look at them and say, I don't put sound over there. Sit in a goddamn chair, because I focus everything so tight, and so your softest speaker is still going to be fairly, comfortable to listen to. And when I'm doing speeches, I try to put the presenters right in your face, because a lot of times during rehearsals, once the guy gets going on stage or whoever it is, I'll walk over and sit in the last chair and close my eyes and just sort of slouch down in the chair and listen to him. Because if I can hear him clearly with my eyes closed, trying not to pay attention, then I know all these people are going to get in the room and they're going to hear him just fine.
Now,
That
when you
sounds a lot
close your
like
eyes
you
like that, are
actually-
you ever worried that somebody's going to walk in and say, "My God, the engineer's asleep"?
Well, no, because usually when I do that, we're doing rehearsals. Once in a while during a show, if front of house is in a spot where I'm near the last couple aisles, because corporate shows, we never sit in good spots. It's very seldom we're in a really good spot. So what I'll do during a corporate show, if it's an hour speech and he's got no graphics and no playback and no crap, if it's just him talking on a lav or a headset mic for an hour or an hour and a half, sometimes I'll just walk over and sit down in an empty chair for maybe a minute and a half and just sit there and look around. I don't ever look at the stage, because if I look at the stage, then I'm paying attention to him. And what I want to do is I want to be able to ingest what he's saying without looking at him. And if I can do that, then I know I've done my job.
Right.
You guys
So
are
now
still,
on a talking head, do you use any effect? You reverb, compression,
No.
what do you use? And
Nothing.
and what's the maximum dB level that you'll have a talking head go at?
Boy, that's a tough one, because usually when we're doing talking heads, I'm not looking at my DB thing.
It's all about gain before feedback.
It's all about gain before feedback. Yeah.
not
Game
really up to
before
you.
feedback and coverage.
Coverage. Yeah. So when I design a system, what I want to do is I want to make sure I have enough headroom so that even the softest guy, I can make him pretty sensitive and still hear him in the last seat in the back. And sometimes what I'll do is at the back corner, like sometimes if I'm doing a couple thousand people and we're on a flat floor, production is in the back corner and it might be 80 feet from the last chair, right? So what I'll do is I'll put anchor monitors, or one time when I was doing a video app show, I hung two AE5s right for the production table and delayed them and EQ'd them as if they were part of the system. And all I put in them was the talking heads, no playback. Because the guy calling the show has got to be able to hear the speeches, and if he's queuing and everything else. And a lot of times I'll put anchor monitors, little Fostexes or something across the production stage or the production platform, and I'll send a separate feed just to them, and I'll delay it, and I'll throw a little EQ on it. I'll choke them out so that they're not hearing full range, because the room has got enough noise in it, playback and all that crap. They don't need to hear all that stuff. So.
Bruce, you would have loved to work for me when I was a production manager, because I always had my production staff right in the middle of the room, in the perfect
I
spot.
love that.
That's always.
Every once in a while, I'll do a gig where, they'll put cameras in the middle of the room, and I'll say, put me, since you're going to drop a cable down for the cameras, drop the snake down and put me on the floor right between the cameras, because that means I'm like 100 feet from the stage, and that's just absolutely perfect. I like to be, even with the line arrays, I like to be in a big ass room. I like to be into the first set of delays, because I want to make sure my blend is good. Although I rarely mess with the delay time once I get into the show, because we do a pretty good job of getting all that done ahead of time. But I like to be able to listen to the delays a little bit. I like to be in the delay range a little bit.
Hey, Danny, jump in. Come on. Jump in.
I'm just curious, because you guys are still using lavs?
Oh my God, we live. That's that's what everybody wears. Lavs. Very seldom. I mean, we use DPA. What's the headset mics? The cardioid headset mics.
4099.
Yeah, 99s.
88s or
88s.
Yeah,
I'll
so
spec
80s,
those a lot of
66s.
times. On this last Milken gig, we've been using all 88s, and but lavs. Oh my God, yes. Oh yeah.
My go-to line when the producer says we're going to use labs is I say, lab is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, how
Well,
about these headsets?
Yeah. Well, for me,
Yeah,
I tell
headsets are
them,
great.
well, I tell them, listen, lavs for TV studios when you don't have to amplify for a crowd.
Exactly. That's exactly what I tell them. Same exact thing. I'm like, they're like, well, all the TV people wear it. I'm like, because there's no freaking PA system.
Well, there's no PA, and that's people. We do an award show a couple times a year with a couple of these TV news people, And it's so funny because they get up there and they go, well, it's like you can get away with that in a TV studio because you're not doing PA and it's quiet, but
there's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
people talking.
you get 7 labs on the stage and people are having a conversation and they're talking to each other. And I usually get up on the stage and I tell them, listen, I'm the sound guy. I'm going to give you a little direction here. I said, remember, you're not talking to each other. You're talking to the audience. So look at the audience to answer the questions and talk to the people in the front row because they're about 40 feet away. And if you get to the front row, then I can take care of the other couple thousand. But you got to give me that. If you don't give me that, I can't amplify it.
When I have
And then
a
they don't
panel
do that
like that,
anyways.
And they don't care half the time.
when I have a panel like that or multiple people at the same time,
Yeah.
doesn't always work, but sometimes I'll invert the polarity of every other guy.
Sometimes I do too, but generally
as
not.
As they get closer together, you start to get noise canceling.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Dan Dugan's my co-pilot on that.
Wayne and I, we have Yamaha consoles, and one of the biggest reasons why we live on the Yamahas is, Dugan all over the place, and the CL and the QL have 16 channels of Dugan, and the 7 has like unlimited for the most part. And then we also do what I do, and I know Wayne, you do something like this. Yamaha on board has the Neve 5045 on. And that's when I pretty much stopped using my wave stuff because the 5045 is, as you know, Kurt, it's noise reduction. And I live for that fucking thing. That thing is great. And
it's actually an expander, by the way, Bruce.
Yeah, it's expander?
Yeah. It's an expander. Yeah, it's an expander device that's not it was invented by Rupert Neve.
Yeah.
And it is an expander.
I never really thought of it as it expands though, huh? Because it pushes the noise floor down. So what I'll do, during the setup is I'll put all the lavs in one group. Let's just call it group 3, and I'll put a 5045 channel on that lavs, and then I'll put the lav up on the stage, and I'll let the room. Once I'm pretty well EQ'd and ready to go do the show, I'll let the room I'll turn the lav on and I'll make it hot, and I'll let the room just sort of cook a little bit, and then I'll adjust the 5045 so it pushes the noise floor down. And then I know I got everything I can get out of that damn thing.
We got a lot of guys using them on the lead vocal.
Yes, and that's where I got turned on to it.
And
I got told
you can hear it sometimes a little too much if they
here was my first experience with it. I got told that this was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I was at a university down in Redlands doing a Christmas show. And it was a 60-piece orchestra, and we had a 90-piece choir behind the orchestra, right? So I had six Neumanns in front of the orchestra, or in front of the choir, and then we close mic'd the orchestra, and then I had 6 DPA cardioid headset mics for the actors. We were doing the Christmas story, right? So what I did was, you can't use a Dugan if they're going to sing because the Dugan will favor whoever's talking the loudest or whatever. So, when people start singing, they're harmonizing. So the Dugan doesn't know what the hell to do, So you can't use that. That doesn't work. That's just Dugans are for spoken word, right? So I plugged the 5045 in on each microphone. And when I listened to it, it was like, oh my God, it was almost like they took the orchestra and the choir out from the microphones, on the actors in front of the stage because it just wasn't there. It's like it suppressed it so much, and I fell in love with that thing instantly. So now I use it all the time, but I don't use it on each microphone because they're generally talking heads. I'll put one on each group. So the lectern group and the lav group and the handheld group for Q&A. I'll put a 5045 on each one of those channels. And sometimes I'll put it on the record feed just to suppress the room noise a little bit in the records.
Well, see, now this is why I'm still carrying, although I've shrunk the size of my waves down because I'm using NUC size computers to run it and a mobile server, which is small. So my whole little stack is about 5 inches square and about 6 inches high. So, but the one I'm using.
You leave it, David?
Going to the show at the Pantages.
What's on
right now? Good night. Have a good show.
We're going to go see
September 10th, IMAX.
Have a good show.
For the Spinal Tap 2. So.
Final Tap too.
Very good. I'm sure David will see that. Hey, but Wayne, I noticed you've been taking notes. I hope you're learning something today.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Wayne
what I was saying is
Sims?
I use the WNS noise suppressor, the cedar knockoff
I
within
love the
waves.
cedar. Yeah,
And
the cedar's
the
amazing.
advantage to that over over the Neve is that it be like a cedar. It's you can adjust within frequency parameters, so
Yes.
you can do a little finer thing. And in the rooms with the systems, I mean, first thing, system design rule is put up speakers until you run out of space or you run out of money in corporate. Period. Just load it up as much as you can get. But in that case, most of the hard work is done. So the signal to noise ratio, the gain before feedback in the room itself becomes fairly subtle.
Very subtle.
If you take it out, you can hear the difference, but it's not huge. Where that thing is money is on record feeds
On the
or
records.
satellite mix minuses
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like that. When you're sending out just signal with no interaction with the speakers, man, that plug-in is money, and more money. The thing is awesome.
Hey, Bruce,
Yes.
just for your reference,
Yes, sir.
sliced bread is under 100 years old and was invented on July 7th, 1928.
Sliced bread.
That's
You
right.
said it
Gary
was-
McCallions'
Up
mother
until
is
then, they
older than
had to
sliced
just
bread.
eat it as a whole loaf.
You said
Up
it was the
until
best
then.
thing since sliced bread. So
Oh, did I actually say that?
Yes.
Yeah. You funny guy. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
You know what I realized today? You know what I realized? I'm looking around and I'm saying to myself, there's thousands of years of experience in this room right now.
Yes,
Thousands.
yes. Isn't that amazing? Just what the six of us is just amazing what history we have. It's between
Well,
us
it was
all.
more than six of us, yeah. But
Yeah.
and wow, it's pretty amazing to me, you
Yeah.
know. And you know what you could learn if I allowed this to go, just a technical conversation about that. It's amazing, you know. So
You know
hey,
what I really love is when we all start asking each other things about stuff, shows,
yeah,
gear, whatever. How do you do this or how do you do that or what's your experience with this? And boy, I'll tell you, and I told you, Jan, being a part of this from the beginning has been a mind saver for me, because during COVID we all felt so alone, and all you guys are like family, and it's become way more than that because it's
yeah.
I look forward to hanging out with you guys every
So
Wednesday.
Bruce and I have a great systems guy that we worked with for many, many years and are still good friends with, Gary McCallion, and his mother, within the last couple of days, turned 102.
Yeah.
And when she was a youthful lass of, I don't know, 99 or 100, he had put together a list of things, modern things that his mother was older than.
Yes, and he reminds us of it all the time.
Sliced bread was one of those things.
One of those things.
He should if he hasn't done this, you should tell him to take her down to StoryCorps and document her life on StoryCorps, which is pretty amazing if you're not familiar with it.
What is it?
What
I
is
haven't
it?
heard of StoryCorps.
Basically, it's an opportunity, and I believe it's put on by the Smithsonian. But you could somebody can Google it, StoryCorps, and basically you go in with you and your mother or your father or anybody, and you talk about their lives, and it gets documented for historical purposes.
Oh, that's interesting. I just
And anyone
Googled
can do it.
up.
StoryCorps.
I'll have to send
There's an app on the phone too, as well.
So for her 99th birthday, I think it was her 98th or something like that, Gary and his sister decided, they're Armenian, and the mom had never been to Armenia before and was born there, but moved here when she was really young.
Was when she was 95.
Yeah, 95.
Yeah,
so they got first class tickets and they took her to Armenia. And oh my God, what a trip, man.
Okay.
It was
Not
amazing.
having anything to do with Armenia, but I wanted to ask you, I've been asking about level questions.
Yeah.
Like Kurt, you do an outdoor shed. What's the maximum SPL that you can put out? And I know that they must be monitoring you because they have neighbors, right?
Well, we use 10easy monitoring software, which is kind of the standard, and like in Bend, the house has their own. Actually, both here in Seattle and in Bend, they both have their own, and we have ours. 10easy is a non-user adjustable closed loop system
Oh,
that's
I've never even heard of it. Tell us about it, because I just use Smart. I just keep it up. The numbers are rolling along.
yeah. I mean, I use Smart too, but 10easy is a European product. I believe it's actually OEM by Sennheiser, and it's a specific mic with a BNC cable that goes to a specific interface, and it's BNC, not XLR. And then there's a USB out of that interface that goes into your computer, and all of the calibration and everything is in the interface, which has no buttons or controls or anything. You can't do a thing. And the whole point was the European standard.
Consistency.
They wanted something that they knew couldn't be tampered with in the field, because everybody would cheat the calibration of the mic to buy himself a few more dB. And most people I see running Smart don't actually have the dB calibrated.
Yeah, I don't. I did it when I first bought Smart 100 years ago, and I haven't done it since.
Yeah,
The
I'm actually
software
about to order an ISEMCON calibrator, because I wanted to make sure that they're all accurate. And you should be sending the 10easy system back about every year or two to get checked and they calibrated at the factory. So we do that. The typical
Yeah, what level do you
standard,
like to run at?
I like to run, if I'm mixing and I don't have a speed limit, I'll peak at 102, 10.
I was going to say 102 or 103.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Wayne, what do we do for corporate shows? 70 something?
Well, you said 100 earlier.
Well, that's for band. If we're
Oh,
doing
okay.
Chicago in a ballroom with, 500 or 800 corporate people, I'll run along at about 100, and depending on if it's, if I'm excited or not, but
Corporate
know.
speech is like 85 to.
yeah,
That's what I was
80.
guessing, but
Yeah.
I don't track
Now,
it.
I don't track it either.
let me tell you why I'm thinking along this line. Okay, so I've been watching a tech show called it's called I forgot, Mac Break Weekly, and they were talking about, and also another show with Dave Hamilton on it, Mac Geek Gaps, and they've been talking about going to concerts and using Apple AirPods as an ability to to dampen the sound rather than using like a Max, uh, something to
Regular
protect your
earplugs.
hearing. Yeah, earplugs. What do you guys think about that?
First of all, I just bought their 20 dB down plugs from, I forget.
Who, Max?
No, I think they call it Etomics or something like that.
Okay.
Edamonic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So I
They're
bought
really good.
Yeah. So
are they flat?
They actually it's flat up to, is it the 4K, Wayne? Is that it? I think it starts.
I don't know that I've ever seen a spec sheet. I just know that they're not like foam. They're the whole point of them is that they reduce equally across the frequency band. They don't
Right,
cut
equally,
out as
yeah.
nearly as much high end. And I have a few pairs that I got at a show one time, and I keep them around. And if I'm going to a noisy event, they're in my pocket.
And I bought the model that I bought comes with two sizes, so normal and large, so that I still haven't decided which one I wear all the time, but it's pretty.
Now, are these electronic or are these foam or what
passive?
are they made of?
They're passive. How should I describe them? They're not foam. There's rings, two rings. Is that? I'm not sure how I would describe it. I think Wayne might be better at describing this than me.
Well, Wayne's good
Well,
at
I don't know.
sending
They're
links
just-
into the chat, so I'm sure Wayne could find this first and send it to the
I'll
chat
find it in a
because I'm
second.
really interested in this.
Yeah. I go to NASCAR races and I wear my molds because nothing blocks out all that engine noise as good as the molds do.
Yeah.
Wow, I love wearing my molds. I put all the cable in my pocket.
A lot of people
I mean, what do
are
you do
wearing
on the
these.
plane? What do you use for the, when you
Oh,
guys fly?
on planes, it's foams, especially if I'm on a prop plane.
On
I can't.
on planes, it's my JH audios because I'm listening to music.
Yeah,
You know
I'll
what?
use my
Sometimes I wear
Apple
them without listening to music at all because they're 26 dB
Yeah.
reduction. So
Yeah, that's when I wear mine at the NASCAR shows because they,
yeah,
it's, but boy, I'll tell you, when I first bought my in-ears, my molds, I went to the airport and I almost missed my flight because I couldn't hear that. So I didn't wear them anymore when I'm walking around, I have the Bose Quiet Listens or whatever, those in-ears that
Mhm.
are noise canceling, and I wear those on planes. And you can adjust how much they noise cancel. So if I'm in a spot where I need to hear people talking, I just touch them a couple times and it opens up.
Yeah,
But
Jan,
One
I'm
of the
not sure.
coolest swags I ever got, one of the coolest swags is from DPA, and
oh,
it's a
cool.
really metal container,
I
and
like the
in it,
container.
I love it. I use it. I mean, I should have taken more of them.
Is it
And then they had the
lipstick?
Macs inside them,
Oh,
the Macs.
it just looked like it.
Jan, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the new Apple pods, I forget which model, can actually be used as a hearing aid now. The
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah,
they
absolutely.
resolved.
I had read that someplace, but
Yeah, they resolved the latency issue. I mean, I remember I was sitting with my sister-in-law a couple of years ago, and we were talking. I said, "No, you should be able to use it." And then she put it in my ear, and I tried, and there was a slap, like I don't know, 40 milliseconds or something like that. It was just like not usable, and they've resolved that. So now I think it's last year or this year's new model can be used as an hearing aid.
wow,
Not
that's
only
cool.
that, it
Yeah.
could also be used as a spying device. You know, yeah, I'm
A
seriously.
spying
What you
device.
do is you put your headset on, you set your phone down, and say, "Oh, well, I'll be right back." You leave your phone on the room, and it
Uh,
monitors everything that goes on while you're
oh, isn't
gone.
that interesting? That's
so
If you're,
you guys
if you're,
remember in the way back there was earplugs that were I can't remember what the name of them was, but they were. I put the etymologics in the thing, and they're
Right,
kind
I
of
see
like
it.
3 layers of thing. But there was an earphone years ago that was actually made for shooting guns, and it had a little metal cylinder in it. I'm waiting for Greg to give me the name because I think he's going to know. And it had a little metal cylinder
Oh, the
in it.
Ken Porter's got the answer.
So
Ken,
Earplugs.
what?
Sonic 2 earplugs.
There
Sonic
you go.
2s. Yeah. So I had a pair many years ago. The problem is that they had a little thing that would close down at the steady at a high impulse of a gunshot, but they wouldn't for music. So it kind of sounded like you had a seashell in your ear because the sound would be rolling around inside the little cylinder. So the way I solved it is I took a tiny little bit of cotton and stuffed it in the outside end, and then it would take some of that away. But that was early,
I had a
way back in the
conversation
day.
with John Meyer, speaking of gunshot, and he was working on some sort of hearing protection for the military to protect their ears, using sound technology to compensate, or I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but to eliminate the sound of the gunshot through sonics.
I got a weird, funny story about in the early 80s, we were using these basements that had ATC 12-inch speakers in it. And we would actually extend the leads because we'd pop the leads all the time. But anyway, we found they were really incredible. And then we found out that the British Navy would use an array of these drivers to out-of-phase cannons to help reduce the noise of the cannon hits on warships.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. And I'm talking late 70s, early 80s. And I haven't used those drivers since probably. But anyway,
Recoding speakers on the high seas. I see it now.
Yeah.
You're talking about
Join
active.
the Navy. Recode speakers on the waves.
I had to take that call. You're talking about active cancellation?
Yeah,
We could be.
we were
Okay.
somewhat.
We did it because we had a venue with this one specific woman who complained, and we took a stack of Meyer 1100s, put them in cardioid, and put them all the way 180 feet from the stage behind where like the beer sales and all that is. And we had we were going to build in like a cat line to do it over AVB, but for this experiment we did it with just hundreds of feet of XLR, and we were able with Bob McCarthy from Meyer, and then Steve Bush also from Meyer, and I were working on it, and Bob was remote. We had him on the phone, but we've been working the plan out, and we were able to come up with a way to vector the two different left-right subwoofer arrays and combine the distances into one signal, and then invert the polarity of the sum of those two signals at the far field cancel array, which was cardioid also, so it didn't backfeed into the beer garden and all of the, food trucks and stuff. And we were able to, by varying delay time between the two main stacks and the delay stacks, steer the cancel beam right at this lady's house.
Holy cow.
And
wow.
and we could go to her house, and we had a guy there on the phone, and I'd tell my guy, okay, unmute it and mute it, and it was night and day. You could tell there was something going on when it wasn't working, and as soon as you engaged it, and the cone of cancellation got broader as you went away. So a mile away, it was 2,000 feet wide or something.
Holy cow.
Very, very effective, but it would only work with Meyer 1100 subs, because the phase trace of the cancel array and the original generating array have to exactly match.
They have to exactly match. Well, that
Because
makes sense.
otherwise you'll get completely unpredictable results where it'll cancel at a certain area that might sum, if it's a DNB, whatever, and you're using a Meyer to cancel it, the way that the phase traces go, it could cancel at one spot and boost at another. So we didn't end up implementing it as a whole season because it was cost prohibitive, because they would have to have these subs sitting there all the time, and they can never be moved. They have to be in exactly the same spot. So we can't take it down and set it up over and over again, or we'd have to constantly be remeasuring.
So Kurt, does that mean that if you were using 2100s, you would have to use 2100s at the back for cancellation as well?
Right, as long as the front subs match the back subs, right? It doesn't matter what.
No, the cancellation array subs have to match the original subs that the people are listening to inside of the concert.
Right.
So, however,
They could be any brand though, right?
They have
Long
to
as they
match.
matched. Long as they matched.
Yeah, because it's all about the phase traces matching. Now,
Right.
Meyer has product integration now, which will manipulate with all pass filters the phase trace of a box to emulate the phase trace of a different box. So you now can pick, so if you have 2100s, like this is what we do, like we have 2100s and we have Panther, they're kind of designed to work together, but we set the 2100 in the product integration tab, and we set the Panther in the product integration tab, and then we choose the lowest point of the high box and the highest point of the low box where their phase traces are going to meet. And you can set that to be the spot where the all pass filter is correct for the phase slope. So we'll do PCC 125 on the Panther, even though we don't really high pass them. I used to do that for my analog or for my amplifier days, where I was always worried about conserving headroom, and I'd put a high pass on. So the box is already doing that. So all you're doing by doing that is adding phase shift that you don't need, because it's already taken care of and compensated for within the amplifier itself.
Wow.
So the PCC 125 we'll make that the matching point, or we'll do it with like the X40s, the front fills and stuff, or an X80 delays now. And so everything has the phase, similar phase slope at the similar frequency of 125. And there's other options. There's 63, there's 100, whatever, there's different things you can pick from, but you can hear it immediately when you get it right. So my point is, you might be able to cancel 2100s with 1100s with the integration of the phase trace. But the best thing to do, or product integration, the best thing to do would just be match the boxes, because then you know what you're getting. But it was, it worked very effectively.
Here's something that I've just been reading about, and I just put it in the chat as well. I just read that physicists have discovered a new form of magnetism, and it will basically lighten a magnet. It'll make it much lighter, much more efficient. I just put it in, and somebody else who they're looking to replace neodymium.
Is it like animal magnetism? Why, and that's why this show is so hot?
It's P wave.
I hate it when people beat me to it.
Now we're doing toilet jokes.
I was right there.
It's P wave. Yeah. Now we're doing toilet jokes.
I channeled it from Kurt. It wasn't my original thought.
I was right there.
That's for that natural sound curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Because I think it
was pretty impressive. You could click it on and off, and the closer you got, like out by the tennis courts, where you could really feel it, you hit that button and it's gone. It's not just like attenuated. I mean, it's gone.
Wow.
It was fantastic. You can't really do it for higher frequencies, of course.
Yeah, but still, I mean, the bottom end is usually the problem with a lot of venues, outdoor venues. So I think this is, man, the fact that we're now there and able to do this, to me,
it's just that it's cost prohibitive because, first of all, it has to be the same thing, which, actually we did them all up here in Washington at this venue. Nobody toured, nobody carried. So we could have done this, but that woman moved away, number one. and no promoter wants to pay for a stack of subwoofers to just sit there all season.
What would be the ratio of subwoofers for the cancellation needed compared to the amount of subwoofers at the front?
We had 3 1100s per side in cardioid on stage, stacked on the stage. And then we had another stack of 3 as a mono cancel array.
Mm. Was the 3 1100s shooting straight forward, or did you have one backward to do some form of
the same in both? It was the center one's backward, polarity inverted, and 3.2 milliseconds, I think. So that's what's happening at the stage. We did exactly the same thing out there, not because it needs to be cardioid, because you could have done it without it being cardioid, because all you're trying to do is disrupt the wave as it passes. But since it's a point of sale with all the bars and the food trucks and everything are out there, and it was right on the other side of a chain link fence in a sort of unused children's playground that's not used during the concerts, or actually during the summer at all. So we did a cardioid there because we didn't want to back feed into the venue a bunch of low end and create other problems, or have it be out of time with the leakage. And we implemented it permanently, we would have put some speakers on stands around in there to just take a delayed signal that's in time with the waves getting there, and we would have fired those back into the venue, because the mid and highs are not going to make it back into the audience area. This is far enough away from where the seating area is that it would make more sense while you're trying to buy a beer and a hamburger, because you're still hearing the show instead of just some low end.
You know what? I know that you're saying it's cost prohibitive, but personally, I mean, I remember doing some festival as a production manager, and I'm getting so much flack from that to use that. I mean, I'm pretty sure the promoters or the festival operator would spend that money when they have an issue like the woman you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we never got to do it for a whole season. I think if we could have done it for a whole season, they would have wanted to do it every season, because the phone wouldn't be ringing. But again, like, it doesn't work. Like if ultrasound comes through, they'd be able to make it work. But unless you've got that Meyer subs, it's going to be a total crapshoot every time what happens with the tours. So like down to
Well, has anyone ever been sued in this room for being too loud?
No.
I've worked for somebody that's been sued.
when I worked for A1, we got sued for a Manilow concert. Believe it or not.
Really?
Oh well,
How's
yeah, the
that
woman
even possible?
That's exactly right. Well, we won the case, but still, nonetheless, it was the fact that they sued us was pretty amazing. A woman sued us.
Well, the other
Said it was
thing
too
that's
loud,
interesting
hurt her
about
ears.
this, Kurt, you told us about in Bend, it's why you hang your PA so low is people will hang it high. You said what, there was a restaurant or something.
Oh yeah, the first show was Sting, and
Yeah.
it was 2 nights with Sting, and it was Howard Page mixing,
Yeah.
which was a little bit of a nerve-wracking first gig of the summer. But he was great. He was a wonderful guy to hang out with. But yeah, I was reading the Facebook page of the venue just for laughs. Just it popped up, and they're going on and on about how the first show was James Taylor, and Sting was the second one, but it was our first one. And so James Taylor was Claire, and they flew it all the way to the ceiling, and which is a whole other topic, but I don't understand that at all. Um, and the guys complaining about how James Taylor's sound system and crew were way better than Sting's, and just on and on and on about how much Sting's show sucked and all this other stuff. And I'm reading this and I can't believe it because this is the second day and I've already heard the first night, and the first night was amazing. It sounded great. Howard was totally happy. He was thrilled with everything. And I'm reading this thing, and at the very end of it, the guy says, normally we can sit at the bar at Anthony's outside and hear the show clearly. So the guy thinks that he's ripping me a new one and saying how much I suck and that I do a terrible job and all that. What he's really doing is validating that all of my measures to keep the sound from spilling out of the venue are working.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, you
Well,
can't go by any of these reviews. They're also biased by the guy's opinion. It's
Well,
an
he's trying to
opinion
hear
piece.
it for free from across the river on the patio of a restaurant.
Yeah,
He's
and
complaining
he's
that when
trying to
I do
review
it,
it.
he can't.
But Kurt,
Screw that guy.
isn't the idea of rigging high to have a certain amount of distance to the people that are up front? Wouldn't that be like the reasoning of
There's
why
an
they rig it
argument
high?
that you can be more equidistant from the people in the front and farther in the back. I get that, but
if you rig high, you aim down, right?
right,
With a
and a
lot.
lot of the guys don't aim down. It's like they've
Oh,
got a template.
I was just thinking to myself, why would it bleed out if they hang high? They just aim down.
Because they don't.
No, they don't.
The top
Okay.
half of the PA is shooting over the whole venue.
Out into space.
Well, when they do that, do they use front fill they don't have to use front
They
fill?
do use front fill, but they also have this massive J where the bottom two boxes are pointing straight down, which I also think is just absurd. I mean, I don't want to hear the PA come from up there while the people are here. It's just like localization in Broadway or corporate. You want to
So
have the sound come from where the band is. Why do you need to be 55 feet in the air?
Now,
nobody
Kurt,
up there.
when you have a really hard J, right? Now, I do corporate shows, so very seldom do I hang more than 8 boxes. And if I'm hanging 10, they're usually little tiny ones, right? So if you have a pretty hard, don't you get into all kinds of time elements and all kinds of weirdness? Because,
yeah,
how do you, when you tune that, how do you?
The more I don't do that. Number one, I use front fills. But
Okay.
the more you J that, the more you're getting, kind of like Scoville will talk about with the EAW stuff with the line source
Right.
rays. You're moving the elements farther and farther away from each other. They're less able to act like a ribbon or like a integrated.
Right,
pipe.
a source, right? Source.
I don't do that. I mean, I'll do the bottom boxes like 5 and 7 maybe, but I rarely am more than, like in Bend we're doing 12, and I think it's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.5, 2, 3, 5, 7, something like that.
Yeah.
And we're 28 feet and we down tilt 6 degrees. And we use a laser on the first time when we did this at night to make sure we're not shooting past where the start of the VIP is.
And now, will the Space Map Go tell you this?
No, Space Map Go is the immersive thing.
Well, you're using your
3D.
Galileo.
Map
You're
3D
using.
will tell you this.
Okay, but you're using your Galileo. Does the Galileo you can decide? Okay, volume 000 -3 -6 or whatever. I mean, is that all done for you calculated in the Galileo or
No,
the
there is
Galaxy?
low mid beam steering, and you can have it auto calculate certain things. Most people tend to maybe look at that and then modify it or reduce its impact. You know, the percentage of use, so to speak, kind of like atmospheric correction. You know, it has that built in. But what like down there, we have the top four boxes is one zone, and then all the other zones are two boxes. So the top four boxes are up 1.5 dB. In the middle, uh, six are 0, and then the bottom two are neg 3D.
Now, do you do that on the Galileo, or can you do
Yeah,
that
so-
on the box programs?
No, there are no box programs.
Oh, it's just you turn it on. It is what it is.
There's no well, things are starting to change a little bit with a brand new product that's coming out and was announced today. But
So you're not interneting or networking all the cabinets together, and
you can get all the data you want, and you can drive it with AVB Milan. But right now, there's no there's DSP in the box that's
Right.
factory set to adjust for crossover, phase, all these things. It's already all done in the box. You don't have control of. It's kind of like your TV. If they gave you all the controls you could have on your TV, it would never look as good with you doing it as it does calibrating people
Yeah.
at the factory who actually know how to calibrate a TV. So
Right.
Meyer doesn't give you that. You can't change the crossover. You can't change the ratio between the horn and the mid-range driver or any of that. That's all done for you.
Right.
The Galaxy allows you to do zones. It allows you to do gain,
Right.
EQ, all that kind of stuff. So all that happens in the Galaxy. But
So
if
you zone the array 2 or 3 zones.
in that particular application, because I'm trying to throw just far enough to hit the beginning of the VIP where the delay towers take over that are behind front of house. But I don't want to kill the guy because I'm not 50 feet in the air. The bottom box is like 16 feet off the ground. So the bottom two boxes I turn down 3 dB and actually do a little bit of a high shelf to kind of get it to, not be quite as bright up there. But the thing, you can't really go much farther than that because once you start gain tapering a line array, you're going to start, if you go more than about 3 dB anywhere, you're going to start steering it. You're going to start changing what it's doing. And you can model, all of this stuff can be modeled in Map 3D. You can put all of these parameters in and you will see what it does. And then you can actually, once you get there, you can save that file in Map 3D and then export it and import it into the Galaxy. And when you open the file, all of the things you did in Map 3D on the airplane will be in your Galaxy file, ready to go.
Now, Ken Porter, how does that compare to what when you're using one of your systems, which are like you specialize in DB? Do you also have acoustics as well, Ken?
No, I don't have all acoustics on B&B and JBL.
So how do you handle that how do you handle it compared to the Meyer system?
Well, our first rule is point the speakers at the people and not at the.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good rule to follow. All right, number
it's
one.
Almost like
all
these
right.
guys, I don't want to name any companies, but it's almost like these guys get sent on the road and they have a generic file that they're supposed to just fly it like this no matter what. Because I walk in on the tour dates and I'm like, there's nobody up there. What are you aiming that at? Except my house. Which is true.
Which is 200 miles away, right?
No. The one down there is 3 minutes from the venue, directly in the line of fire I can see the stage from my living room. So I can tell when it's aimed wrong because it's blasting me out while I'm trying to barbecue.
So I have a goofy question. So was this a Claire setup that was like bleeding all over the place?
The one for James Taylor?
Yeah.
That was Claire Cohesion, yeah.
Because my wife does all the K-pop concerts in LA, and she to not
She's
have
a
to
translator, by the way.
She's a translator, yeah. She to avoid dealing with the parking, I took her to Dodger Stadium and dropped her off, and then I picked her up at 11. And Blackpink was doing the show. And one thing I noticed, and I did the 3 tenors at Dodger Stadium, and I'll tell you, you couldn't hear them in the parking lot. And I sat on the front of my car and listened like it was on my stereo.
Oh yeah.
to the what is the command performance? What is it when they bring them back out again? What's that called?
Encore.
Encore. They sang 3 songs as an encore, and I sat there thinking, God, it sounds really good out here. Why is that? That's a problem. They must have not aimed that rig or something. And I don't know who toured with Blackpink, but when they were here in the States, but I couldn't believe how great it sounded in the damn parking lot.
Yeah, well, that's
Well,
not.
maybe they were just
happen.
doing it for their audience as they were leaving the show. They wanted to hear
Which,
all the music.
oddly enough, where I was parked was behind the stage because they put the stage in the outfield.
That's insane.
It's just so weird. I thought it was so weird. I was like, who the hell's doing their gig? Because it's not supposed to. I mean, I was really jammed. I was tapping my foot and kind of happy that I could hear what song they were singing. I could sing along with the damn tune. But then I thought to
don't
myself,
believe that for a second that you could sing along with K-pop.
no, I couldn't because I don't know any Korean, but they're singing more and more. They put English phrases in there, which I can catch once in a while. But
Right. Don't they do some? I think the Blackpink is also does some Thai music because one of the
one
girls
girl,
there,
Lisa's Thai, yeah.
yeah. All right, I want to hear something from Ken Porter, man. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, Kenny, talk to us, man.
How high was the PA hung? Because if you're pointing up, trying to hit the upper deck, the 300 level, and don't you have like an awning over the 300 level, and it's focusing back on the?
Well, a couple of years ago, I took my
there.
wife to a Billy Joel concert and at Dodger Stadium, and we had nosebleed seats up in that little area that was the way top up there where there's not that many seats. And he walked away, but I'm hoping he can still hear me talking.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I was thinking, you know what? At $250 a ticket in the worst possible seats I could have ever imagined, so far away, I thought this is going to suck. But I really wanted to see Billy Joel because I knew every song I'd know, and it was going to be a good show, right? So we got there, and Claire, I have to say, they did an absolutely amazing job. They had these delay towers that were around the baseline, and they were shooting. It sounded like a king-size hi-fi at like 105 dB, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. I couldn't believe it because I was sitting so damn far away. It was like being in the next state, And I thought that they aimed that pretty well, but I don't know if they overshot. No, the top bank up there is not under a roof, but all the rest of it, the rest of the floors are under roofs. So,
Well, yeah, that's a different thing. Like I'm in Bend, I'm talking about, it's maybe 225 feet of total audience depth, and it's a raked lawn. The front part's flat, and about 90 feet back, it starts sloping at 3 degrees. So you're not dealing with a bunch of elevation changes.
yeah. Oh, Dodger Stadium's huge elevation change.
Like if we go into an arena like up here, I'm under 30 feet down there. An arena up here at Climate Pledge, I'm 60 feet in the air, and I'm tipped up 4 degrees to hit to the 300.
Right.
So
Yep.
you got to know it should change based on where you are. And I swear, I see these people come in and fly stuff, and it's like they're not taking into account the actual space they're in at all. They're doing something that's on a blueprint that I don't know if they're told to or not, but they're just doing it every time. And I'm like, well, just because it worked there doesn't mean it's going to work here. It's got to be unique for every venue.
Yeah,
I have the same, but
I would think that would be bad.
I have the opposite, or like when I'm doing corporates, if I'm in a ballroom, if they tell me they're only putting seats 2/3 of the way back, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm designing for the space.
The space.
I'm not designing for the audience size. I'm designing for the space. So
I do that too. You can always mute that third delay hang if you don't need it, but you can't put it up in the middle of the show.
Right.
When I went spend the day with Mr. Newman in Montreal at the Bell Center, when he was doing Mr. Manilow, the PA tech was showing me the file that he had built for the next day. So in other words, he had the file, he had the plan of the Toronto venue, and he was designing his array the day before. So I'm assuming that every day, once his job is done for the day, he starts building the file for the next day.
Yeah,
I think that was maybe one of the Ken's guy.
Yeah, he's a top-notch guy.
He's using DMB and did right, because we have a lot of files of arenas that everybody puts in the Dropbox.
Yeah, the Meyer community does the same thing. We'll exchange them. If I can call somebody and be, have you ever been in this place? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I got a map file for that.
Cool.
Well, it's a great industry we're in, boys and girls.
It sure is a lot
Although
of
there's
fun.
no girls here, but what else is going on? Hey, listen, we've been on for an hour now. We've been streaming for an hour, which I don't have a problem with. We could stream forever, but I think we got to keep, we're giving away so much information. We got to save something for next week. Like that's a worry of ours, right? Like we won't have something to talk about when we're all together, which is great. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. But before I do say that, anybody have anything else they want to say that they want to go live with?
Yes, tune in next week where we talk about using audio to eliminate gophers from your yard.
Anyway, thanks for watching. 275 episodes in the can. Next week, 276. Thinking Out Loud with Friends of SoundBroker. And just remember, you make it happen. And do your own research. Make it happen so that you know that everything you heard today is an opinion. Although there was a lot of interesting facts. But do your own research. Remember, you make it happen. Have a great week, everybody. See you next Wednesday. And invite your friends. Give us the thumbs up. Share the show, do whatever it is that you need to do to make yourself happy. All right, have a great week. Bye now. And we are off